Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today we are going to continue our exploration of Mercury squaring Uranus. Mercury is in the sign of Virgo, squaring Uranus in Gemini. This is probably the major transit of this week. There's another transit coming we're going to take a look at, which is the square between Mars and Jupiter. But this early part of the week, for sure, it's Mercury-Uranus that we're looking at. So today, 5 things to watch for in those 4 major areas of life: personal, psychological, relational, public workspace kinds of things, and private, family, or home life kinds of things. Found that this is a really effective way to break the transits down. So that's what we'll do today. And hopefully this will help you to notice the appearance of this planetary combination as the week goes on here. I'll lay out the timeline for you as well. So we'll be sure to refresh on the timing of everything first. I'll also preview where we're heading as the week goes on with more transits to come. So anyway, that's our agenda for today. Before we get into it, as always, remember to like and subscribe. When you drop a comment in the comment section, when you give us the thumbs up every day, if you're not yet subscribed, when you do so, that really helps us grow. Helps us grow everything that we do. And so a big thank you for those of you who are remembering to help us out like that when you watch the content. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. We're going to see if we can get to 100,000 subscribers on the channel by next summer, kind of a big goal that we have. Right now, I want to promote a couple of things. Go to the events page, click on Immersive Retreat. We are about halfway full right now, just over halfway full to our upcoming retreat, The Oracle Within, a training in the theory and practice of divinatory astrology. This is a retreat that I'm leading, a brand new training program in the oracular nature of astrology. It's going to be really immersive and experiential. It's in Mexico next June. We have lots of spaces still available, but we are about halfway full. The early bird rate only lasts until the beginning of October. So you have this month of September left to book and save a significant amount of money on the cost of the retreat. Hope to see you there. At the end of today's content, there is an informational video about the retreat, who it's ideal for, the background you should have in astrology already or not, all of that good stuff. So I'll tell you more about it after I'm done with today's content. Also, go to Live Talks. You're going to see that my next webinars are posted between September and December. This month, I'm looking at Mercury in planetary pairings and combinations. So what does Mercury look like, and how does Mercury show up in our lives when paired with every other planet? This is going to be absolutely crucial for understanding Mercury in your own birth chart based on the aspects that it shares with other planets, or if you read charts for other people. Learning planetary combinations is an essential part of becoming a good astrologer. So we're going to do it with Mercury this month. And then in November, I'll be doing the same thing with Venus, and we'll be doing this with all the traditional planets in some of the webinars ahead. You can see some of the other webinars that are there as well. When you register for any of those live webinars, you get the recording if you can't be there live. You get the recording either way. You get a copy of it. So good deal. All right, on that note, let's turn our attention to the real-time clock. I want to point out the transit of the day first. Here we are, Tuesday, September 2nd. I guess a lot of people are probably kids. If you have kids, they're probably going back to school. You can see Mercury just entered the sign of Virgo. And if we take this forward just one day, we'll see that by tomorrow morning, Mercury is through the square to Uranus. So if we track this out kind of hour by hour, let's see exactly when it occurs. This is Central Time, United States, that I'm tracking it on. But that square starts coming through early morning between tonight, Tuesday, and tomorrow, Wednesday, at least here, again, in my central time zone. So the exact square is what, 2:30 in the morning tonight into tomorrow. So really Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week are the big days. And then we're going to give it 3 degrees of clearance from the square to really get that separation through. And that does happen by about Friday. We're in the zone of like, okay, this is, so you could say Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday of this week, we're in a Mercury square Uranus zone. The other thing is that this is a reiteration of the last moon cycle's opening square between the sun and moon in Virgo and the square to Uranus in Gemini. Not surprisingly, right after this square takes place, Uranus stations and turns direct. I say not surprisingly, not because that's a astronomical thing, but because there's something very fitting about this cycle being very, very Uranian. And in the midst of these Uranian signatures from the new moon to this recurring square, we'll see Venus eventually square Uranus later in the month of September. And Uranus changing directions, it suggests that the planet Uranus is involved in the astrology and is probably bringing in some of its first major lessons and insights from its early ingress into Gemini, and is now retrograding, meaning some of these insights are ready to be implemented, and maybe a process of revision, or kind of I like to think of retrogrades from outer planets as like the closing of chapter 1 and the segue into chapter 2. So there's a shift happening that's quite Uranian this week and this month is the point. Keep it simple there. Now, as the week goes on, the other thing that is very important to notice is that as of today, we are well in the 3-degree engagement range between Mars and Jupiter. Mars in Libra, Jupiter in Cancer. And so if we go forward, whoops, here we go. If we go forward just a little bit, here we have Mars on the same degree, 18, as Jupiter at 18 Cancer. That square is going to perfect between Thursday and Friday. And so later this week, we shift from Mercury's square to Uranus into Mars's square to Jupiter. So our attention and coverage will shift accordingly as the week goes on. I also have a kind of fun piece of content that I'm thinking I'm going to put out this week about it's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's why I like I'm going to give you a list of 5 reasons that I hate horoscopes. Because I came up with a really, I think, fun list of 5 reasons why I can't stand horoscopes. Not that I'm eliminating them. They play a role in astrology. They play a role. I shouldn't actually say that I hate them. It's just kind of fun to put it that way. But I'm going to tell you why I have issues with horoscopes, in the hopes that it will be interesting and thought-provoking as to what role maybe they can and can't play in our lives as astrologers or people who consume astrology. Just kind of a fun piece of content that I came up with that I've been working on for a while. So I hope that maybe I'll do that this week too. We'll see. It'll either be that or the next couple of weeks. But so anyway, that's the kind of agenda for this week. What I want to do today, given the square between Mercury and Uranus, is look at those 4 major areas of life and 5 things to watch for within each of them. This has been a fun way of kind of expanding on my list of 5 things to watch for. We're going to look at Mercury Uranus in terms of the internal psychological dynamics that are often present when these 2 planets get together. We're going to talk about how Mercury Uranus can appear in love and relationships, in your career or the workplace, and in the private sphere of life, home or family dynamics. So given that this square is very, very mercurial, we have Mercury exalted in Virgo in its own rulership in Virgo, squaring Uranus in Gemini, Mercury's other sign. I think that, in addition to this square being a reiteration of the new moon cycle square, some of these themes are not just 3 days long. They're suggesting a deeper level of Uranian and mercurial symbolism that's at work right now, that can affect our mind, speech, communication, thoughts, perceptions, how we're articulating things, what we're learning, what we're studying, what we're thinking about. So I want to just emphasize that anything I'm talking about right now may actually have a bit of a broader, overarching power in our lives for the duration of the moon cycle that we're in, the eclipse season that we're in, which is the solar eclipse coming up later in September, also ruled by Mercury. So just keep that in mind, that some of these themes are a little deeper and more profound than just a quick moving Mercury-Uranus square. And that may help to give it just a little bit more weight than we might otherwise. All right, well, when it comes to the internal psychological sphere for, for Mercury-Uranus, number 1 would be mental restlessness. It's very common when these 2 planets get together to just have a kind of nervous, busy, almost overstimulated, caffeinated kind of feeling. That may be exciting, but also anxiety provoking. So keep in mind that the kind of sudden insights and ideas, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and the inspiration can also come with overthinking, overanalyzing, mental restlessness, anxiety or agitation mentally, but also that enthusiasm that, you know, if we have channels for it, if we know how to work with it, can be really useful, very exciting. So that's number 1, is just the mental restlessness of the 2 planets and the way we tend to recognize them. Number 2 would be, and this again we talked about yesterday, I highly recommend watching yesterday's video for a little deeper dive on the, like, what might the evolutionary purpose behind a meeting like this be, or a season or cycle within which so much of Mercury Uranus is present, or the Sun Uranus at the beginning of the moon cycle. And I talked about innovative thinking, original thinking, and what that might do for us in addition to whatever literal ideas it provides us with that create breakthroughs. So watch that, because that, I think, was a good, might be a good addition to some of what we're saying now. But the other one, number 2, in psychological or internal life, would just be a very valuable, unique insight or idea or epiphany, an unconventional or thought or invention or reframing of an issue or idea that you've had that you were stuck with. So consider breakthroughs in thoughts and ideas. Number 3 would be difficulty focusing. So sometimes Mercury Uranus comes up when it makes us question our commitments or makes it difficult to focus on just one thing. A multiplicity of ideas, thoughts, directions, experiences, truths, realities, and maybe some difficulty sustaining more of a singular focus. That multiplicity of Mercury Uranus can be maddening or enlivening and enlightening. So which is it? But I would wonder about questions of choosing one thing versus a multiplicity of things as an internal experience. Number 4 would be a tendency to rebel, just rebelliousness in general, mentally, verbally, intellectually, the desire to liberate the mind from stuck or stale thoughts or mental, intellectual habits or patterns. Very beautiful, but also potentially a little bit rebellious and destructive. So, be careful of how you navigate that rebellious impulse that's appearing internally. And then the other thing that I would watch for would be any meaningful personal form of development or growth that's coming from media and technology, or books, learning, teachers, thoughts, the development or honing of crafts and skills, and especially breakthroughs within them. So if you're an astrologer, these are great transits for learning a new skill or technique, or developing or honing or refining an existing one, or just feeling like you're getting better at something because you're understanding something more than you have previously. So the refinement of skills, development of abilities, creative use of tech or media for the sake of, and the feeling that it's connected to personal growth or existential or psychological development, that's pretty common. All right, number 2 is love and relationships. Now, second area of life. I would say that this is a combination a little bit more difficult when it comes to its appearance in relationships. For obvious reasons, there's a tendency toward disruption or disruptive ideas or communication. So it's that unexpected, moment of a shocking turn, a revealing hidden truth, something like that, which can be a little unsettling. So the unexpected within relationships as something surprising, exciting, startling, disruptive, you have to watch for all of it. I would also wonder about conflicting perspectives or ideas where if a relationship feels stuck due to ideological or intellectual or philosophical differences, that this could heighten the tension of those differences and create the need for some kind of breakthrough. So let's call it intellectual or ideological tensions in relationships seeking some form of change or again, breakthrough. The other one would be encounters with unconventional ideas or people in relationships that might stimulate breakthroughs, or who might be very frustrating or distracting somehow. But I think Mercury Uranus, when it shows up as interesting, erratic, eccentric people, is often very exciting. But also watch how stable or consistent or reliable such people or connections can be. Well, do they have the capacity to be grounded long-term connections? And sometimes they don't need to be, so. And then the other one would be that same restlessness we were talking about personally, but present in a relationship. I'm bored, I'm anxious, I'm stressed. I don't feel secure in our attachment, and the need to converse, or even people who naturally seek stability or security through talk. Like we have to talk for me to feel okay. And then finally would be the need for independence, especially mentally, intellectually. But Mercury Uranus tends to point toward the need for freedom, individuality, and sort of healthy forms of separation. It's not the most union-oriented planetary combination. So the emphasis on individuality within relationships, individual forms of self-expression within relationships. Can the relationship hold space for such things? I mean, why not? But on the other hand, sometimes these transits emphasize the need for more freedom. All right, let's move on to career or work. Work, the public sphere of life. I would watch for in the workplace, in your company, among coworkers, unexpected news, unexpected announcement, surprise emails, surprise shifts in the organizational structure. So anything that's sort of an unexpected shift or turn being conveyed or communicated within the workplace, I would look for any kind of new strategies, implementation of new technologies, systems of organization, new concepts or modes of doing business or work. That would be pretty common. Number 3 would be innovation as a very present and important theme, that this is a new thing. This is an innovative idea. This is a new approach. We're going to do things really differently. We're going to shake things up. And maybe some questions about, is this a good thing or not? Sometimes progress is presented as though it's just unanimously a good thing. And there may be some ambiguities that need to be unpacked or looked at a little bit more deeply. I would say clashes with authority, because this tends to be a very rebellious combination of planets. So challenging authority vocally, verbally, mentally, in email form, be a little bit careful of that as well, but tendency to be a little reactionary. And then I love this for interesting new ways of networking, professionally, socially, professionally, collaborations that include innovation, new ideas, new technology, and interesting new forms of connection. Mercury Uranus loves to connect things and people in terms of craft, enterprise, marketing, ideas, technologies. So it can be very connective in terms of things in the marketplace that are being interconnected somehow. Now, finally, family dynamics. Again, relational sphere, family sphere, not as easy a planetary combination because of the emphasis on individuality and rebelliousness, which tend to break little packets of, or little like pockets of interconnectedness, or like Mercury Uranus is like the disruptiveness of moving compared to the moon that likes to nest and be in the same place, So anything that constitutes a disruption in the home or family or the home environment, it could be something as simple as a home improvement project, but there's workers coming and going in and out of the house all the time, or disruptiveness mentally, intellectually, verbally, just the disruptive quality in entering the home sphere somehow. The other one would be anything related to household technology issues, from needing to replace the panel on your dishwasher or something, to a motor in your washing machine, or an issue with the furnace or air conditioner. Anything related to household tech issues, innovative, fixing things, changing things, all would be pretty common for this. Number 3 would be surprising shifts within the larger family constellation. So-and-so is getting married, so-and-so is getting divorced, someone's pregnant. Just that kind of unexpected, maybe very exciting news, but not what you saw coming, and could have the power to actually revolutionize the family constellation on a deeper, maybe psychological level. Similar to disruptions at home, but I'm thinking now more in terms of the surprising shift of the family structure. The other thing would be the rearrangement or reimagining of how a space within the home could be used. Like, oh, let's make an office out of this room that we were using as a yoga space, or something like that. So anything reorganizing, decluttering, changing the use or function of spaces, all pretty common for Mercury Uranus in the home. And then finally, the tension between individuality and family identity. Individuating means becoming a completely unique person, let's say, in contrast to family, where you have a set role or more of a sense of group identity. So those tensions can come up really strongly when Mercury and Uranus get together. So to me, these are some, very basic things to watch for, given the areas of life that most of us are finding ourselves, finding that we find that astrology usually appears in these areas of life. And these are the topics of the angular houses. So I hope that this was, again, as always, useful. I'm going to sign off now. There is an informational video about the upcoming retreat. I hope to see some of you there. We're going to be getting into that lesser talked about but very important area of astrology, which is the divinatory or oracular side of astrology. What we mean by that is, like, you're going to use technique, you're going to use craft, you're going to use counseling strategies, but there's also this part of every reading, maybe the most important part, that has to do with learning to hear the voice of an oracle speaking and conveying or translating what it's saying. Well, that's not, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about how to develop that. We don't talk about how to refine and cultivate that part of the practice as much. So the whole purpose of this retreat is to do just that. And that's a through line in all of our programs at Nightlight. So this is our first program devoted to that entirely. Anyway, more on that next after I sign off. I hope you're having a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm really excited to tell you more about the Oracle Within, the retreat that we'll be hosting in Mexico in June of 2026. So this is a little informational video that I've made to answer all the questions that you might have about the retreat. In this video, I'm going to start by telling you more about what you will learn on the retreat, what the focus of our studies will be, and then I'm going to tell you about our daily format and sort of what day-to-day life will look like at this retreat center outside of the actual material we'll be studying. I'm going to then tell you who this retreat is ideal for, what kind of background you may want to have before coming along. And then finally, I'm going to tell you more about how you can register. And of course, I'll take you over to the actual retreat website page so that you know where all of the information is located. There's also a really rich FAQ section that will probably answer any further questions you may have. On that note, let's start with what will I learn? So for a very long time, astrologers have talked about what astrology is. What is this? Is it some kind of karmic science? Is it a science of causal energies and influences? Is this actually scientific? Like, what order of knowing is astrology? If we say we can know something about reality, then how can we actually say that when it comes to astrology? These may seem like really deep, dense philosophical issues, but actually they're at the heart of what it means to really deepen into astrology. To have an understanding of what this actually is so fundamental and so helpful. Throughout all of the programs that I teach at Nightlight, I, of course, talk at length about my belief that astrology is a form of divination, that this is a language of signs and omens, very much like the tarot or the I Ching or many other systems of symbolic divination from all around the planet. We're going to spend a lot of time on this retreat talking about what astrology is. From a historical and philosophical perspective, what is divination? What is divination, not just in this tradition, but all over the planet? What kind of things does a divinatory view of the cosmos assume about the nature of reality, about the nature of the soul, and what we're actually doing as practitioners when we practice astrology or when we study it or when we use it for ourselves? So one of the teachers that I had that made a huge impact on me, and 12 years ago when Jupiter was last in Cancer, I hosted him for a retreat on astrology as a form of divination, is Jeffrey Cornelius. He wrote this book called The Moment of Astrology, Origins in Divination, which is, in my opinion, one of the best books on astrology ever written. This will be something like a preparatory textbook that a lot of students on the retreat I'll recommend read before you come to this course. Over the program for the course of a full week, in the mornings, we're going to be talking about the history, the metaphysics, the philosophy, the ancient mystics, and what they said about the nature of astrology itself. So we're going to think really deeply about what is astrology. Then in the afternoons, we're going to talk about how to connect with an oracle. Connecting with an oracle, connecting with astrology as a divinatory system, in other words, is about the marriage of intuition and being able to listen to the oracle speak while also utilizing the logic of craft. How do you marry those two things together? It's not something we take a lot of deliberate time to talk about as astrologers. So in the mornings, we're talking about history, philosophy, theory of astrology. In the afternoons, we're going to be talking about how to actually develop a living, vibrant relationship with an oracle so that it's informing how you approach the craft of a reading or how you approach the craft of astrology itself, if it's something that you maybe just use only for you in your own spiritual path. Either way, practitioners, hobby students are all welcome. So a lot of hands-on immersive work with charts, with live clients, with different systems of divination, and talking a lot about how to connect with an oracle experientially in our afternoons, where our mornings will be devoted to theory. It's about 30 to 40 hours worth of content that we'll be doing over the course of a week together, which means this is effectively like one of my advanced training programs condensed into a week. It's brand new material, brand new curriculum, doesn't appear anywhere else in the Nightlight programs. And yet, everything that this program includes is really a condensation of the underlying philosophy of astrology itself that is a part of all of the Nightlight programs and all of my work as a whole. And again, most of that was deeply inspired by the work of Jeffrey Cornelius, who's I consider him something of a mentor in my life. So that's a bit about what you will learn. If you have questions about what you will learn, you can feel free to email me for more details, info@nightlightastrology.com. Now, I want to talk about the format of the retreat. When you're on this retreat, first of all, you're in a beautiful sort of jungle beach location near Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, for a week, which means we every day will not just be about theory and experiential, immersive, oracular work, which I'm very excited about. I have a ton of really good curriculum written for us as a group to go through. But in the mornings, we're going to have the option of starting your morning with breath work, yoga, meditation. In the evenings, we'll probably cap our days off with a little bit of centering as well. So my wife, Ashley, who I ran a yoga studio with for a decade, will be with me leading daily meditation and yoga. She is an incredibly good yoga teacher, very grounded and very, wherever your level is at, there'll be something there for you. And that's optional as well. So every day you have a little meditation and yoga. There's healthy food that serves people if you're vegan, vegetarian, or eat meat or whatever. There's options for food. There's a beach. There's a pool. There's some jungle hikes available. So our days will be broken into periods of free time, periods of rest, and periods of focused learning with things like meditation and yoga as options that are there for everyone. We'll also have some other meaningful group exercises that we'll do that will be, again, about how do you connect with an oracle? How do you make a conversation with the oracle a daily part of your life? So that's something of the format that you can look forward to in this beautiful kind of oceanside retreat setting. More information on the website. I'll show you that in a second. Who is this for? Ideally, you are someone who has a background in traditional Hellenistic astrology already. Wherever that comes from, if it's my courses or not, I want people coming to this retreat to have some pretty good solid background in Hellenistic astrology already. Or if you're from within our programs, then as long as you are enrolled in the year one program, you don't have to have finished it. You just need to be at least enrolled in it. Then you would be more than welcome. Any alumni from any of our programs would be welcome. And again, people who with some serious background in traditional astrology already, just because I don't want people to come along with maybe a modern background, but zero understanding of Hellenistic. So that would be who I would recommend this for. Spaces are limited and we anticipate the retreat will fill up rather quickly. So I really recommend registering as soon as you can. You also have the early bird rates to help you save. Finally, how do I register? I'm going to take you over to the website and you will find that here, the website, you can find it under the events page. Go to Immersive Retreat, or under the courses, it's our new course called The Oracle Within. When you scroll down, you're going to see everything that the program includes, basically everything I've gone over, maybe a little bit more details and depth there, as well as a little personal note for me that I wrote about why this means so much to me. You'll learn more about Mar de Jade, which is the beautiful retreat center. You can check it out. You're going to book through us. So you don't book through the retreat center, you book through us, and then we take care of it. At the bottom, you're going to find registration options that will be available starting on August 11th. That's today. Right now, as I'm looking at this, we don't have the prices listed yet. It's still kind of under construction. But at the bottom, you'll find different available options for registering. The different options will include different room options, and there's different. So if you want a private room versus maybe sharing a room with someone we'll assign you with that's part of the group, or maybe even a small group dorm room where there's like 5 people are sharing a room and you're comfortable being with other students on the trip, stuff like that. So there'll be some options there for everyone. There's an early bird rate that'll be in effect until October, saves you a little bit of money off the cost. And then also all of the different room options that are available at different price tiers depending on, and they go first come, first serve in terms of like, so there's some ocean view rooms. The people who book first will, get the best. We just go best available first and just run it like that. So Anyway, again, as you are looking over anything on the page, you have any questions, email us info@nightlightastrology.com. I hope that this has been helpful. I can't wait to have finally an immersive in-person training program in a beautiful location. It's nice to do things online, but I really love having in-person time available. And I know that you're going to also really enjoy working with Ashley. During the evenings throughout the week, Ashley will also have some little workshops that she'll be offering as options for people that are part of your retreat package that will be on plant spirit medicine topics and how to use different plant teachers to work with different astrological signatures in the chart. You got a difficult Mars, work with this plant. You got a challenged Venus, try this plant. So there's going to be some really fun little add-ons around plant spirit medicine that Ashley, if you know her on my channel, she talks about plants often, will also lead. So anyway, that's it. That's your informational video. I hope that this was useful. Hope to see some of you on the retreat in Mexico next year. Take it easy, everyone.